High up in the Tehachapi Mountains of California, we find the Southern Pacific Daylight Express on its daily run from Los Angeles to San Francisco, city of the Golden Gate. Having just passed the highest elevation on the route, the train is rolling downgrade, passing magnificent ever-changing scenes of beautiful mountain country. The brightly orange-colored streamliner is stealing the show from her surroundings, and wherever she passes, people pause to admire her sleek lines, instinct with dynamic power. Some even go to the extent of duplicating her in miniature, like the members of the Glendale Model Railroad Club, whose layout is a copy of the railroad network to the north of Los Angeles. It's a very realistic layout, with locations accurately detailed to resemble their true-life counterparts. Members of the Glendale Model Railroad Club might be described as grown-up boys, none of whom have ever worked on a real railroad. They come from all walks of life, workers, executives, professional people, all with an urge to do something different. The maxim of this little group of Glendale citizens might well be, do it yourself and enjoy it. Starting in 1949 with hardly more than an empty clubhouse, they railroaded their wives into letting them spend their evenings working on the project. Mountains had to be built, tunnels were made, trees and shrubbery were planted, always keeping in mind that it must appear authentic, and above all, have fun doing it. Tracks had to be laid, over 1,500 feet in all. Switches, more than 100 of them, each one controlled by remote means, making it necessary to install a complex network of wiring hooked up with 7 separate control panels. Keynoting the work was a genuine urge for perfection and authenticity. No effort was spared. A freight station must look like a real freight station. A water tank must look like a real water tank. Now, can you tell which is real? And what could be more simple than smoke to give the appearance of soot deposits to a tunnel? Why, even the tiny lamp standards light up in spite of the fact that they are only 3½ inches high. Coal loaders, passenger stations, factories, roundhouses, all the buildings we find along a real railroad had to be duplicated by the members. Like this little mining town station made exactly like the real one. As the years went on, the project grew. Members became experts in their hobby. Enthusiasm increased, new skills were learned, and they began to spend extra hours assembling the cars and engines at home. Working from blueprints and photographs, the hundreds of intricate parts were assembled, and should any question arise as to the finer details, these ambitious people need only take a short walk to find out, for within minutes from Glendale is Los Angeles' huge freight yard with locomotives and cars galore. In the early days, there were more members than railway cars. They started with only a dozen cars and 3 locomotives. But growth was inevitable, and today the club has 75 locomotives and more than 500 cars, enough to fill the marshalling yard to overflowing. To give you an idea of how excellent their work really is, let's compare the model trains with the real ones. Here is a model Southern Pacific boxcar, as compared with the real one. This is a model Rock Island boxcar, as compared with the real one. And here is a model Northern Pacific car and its real counterpart. No, this is the real thing, a powerful Southern Pacific diesel engine used mostly for freight. But I think you will agree the model looks exactly like it. And incidentally, if you think that only real railroads have hobos, take a look at these 2 characters freeloading a ride on one of the model boxcars. Now let's board one of the many passenger trains and make a trip through the layout to see what the club has accomplished. The Southern Pacific Daylight Express is ready, except for one rather important thing. The diesel locomotive on its way from a regular inspection and overhaul in the nearby yard. Easy does it. And we are off to a very interesting experience. Soon we are high up in the mountains again, crossing the 125-foot high bridge spanning Royal Gorge. Snow-clad Mount Whitney looms majestically to the east as we rush past little mountain stations. Freight trains, using the same lone track through the mountains, take to the sidings as our train passes by without delay. Right on schedule, too. Skilled hands control our every move, safely leading our train through a maze of switches, keeping us on the main line through the freight yard. Leaving the yard, our train once more picks up speed as we head for new adventures, each curve revealing fresh vistas of unrivaled beauty. Sure is tempting for our young onlooker to reach out, but keep those hands off, Junior. This is for adults only. After all, who ever heard of kids playing with trains?